You want to know how I got these cards? It was when I went on a trip to Disneyland in 1992. Mind you, this deck of cards has fuck all to do with Tarot Curse, a Tubi original directed by Jason Wynn and written by Dean Lotus and Mary O'Neill. You can check out their IMDb pages for the full listings of their work, and mind you, this particular deck of 30-plus-year-old cards is actually a whole lot more interesting than the events of Tarot Curse. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a low-budget edition of the pretty low-budget Tarot movie that came out last year, which was abysmal. And while I think everybody tried their best, the story was pretty putrid, the kills weren't all that great, and it went through the usual Tubi nonsense of shoving a whole bunch of shit in at the very end where we're like, oh shit, we need to come up with a conclusion, let's just shove everything in now. So yeah, I'm just going to put this deck of cards down because I just feel the need to talk about the fact that this wasn't very good. It's not interesting. There's like a couple story elements that might have worked about overcoming trauma, not wanting to just uproot your goddamn life. Understanding that trauma doesn't define you, but it is something that you carry with you. You have to determine how you're going to handle that. You have Tara, who lost her dad. She goes to New Orleans with a bunch of her friends and a couple others that she's kind of not necessarily happy with, but because they're associates with these friends, she has to. And then they run into a Papa Legba cosplayer that they call Bone Daddy. So that right there means that this movie's absolutely putrid and dog shit. Bone Daddy. You couldn't get the fucking rights to Papa Legba. Anyway, so let's just talk about the fact they have a reader here that actually makes Miss Cleo look competent by comparison. It also looks about as alive as Miss Cleo. But nevertheless, they talk about their desires, what they really want. One wants to be popular because they love Nada Surf. That is a really deep cut. Who remembers that goddamn song? And Tara wants basically to take control of her life. She basically wants to overcome this trauma, stuff like that. One wants love because they're a Roxette fan, and one just doesn't want to basically be everybody's pushover, everybody's like floor mat, nevertheless. And that's really all I have to say before I get into any kind of spoilers. But I will finish this section by simply saying the death scenes are terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, it's $1 million for the budget, and I didn't expect much from it. But dear God, some of the line reading, the dialogue, I think might have been better if they had used a little bit of a rewrite. It just, everything about this just felt so hackneyed and hacked out, and it just felt really, really basic. It was a basic bitch of a goddamn concept. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out, but that's it. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. There you go. So, yeah, I think half the budget was spent in New Orleans, but we have a guy named David that apparently brokered a really good deal and then tries to stop an entity from taking over his house or plaguing him or whatever. It channels Paranormal Activity 2 with a fire truck-like toy, just without Katie Featherston in it, more in the pity. And it goes down the stairs. He ends up having a knife. He's going to cut somebody like a knife, but then he stumbles, stabs himself, and then tries to get a towel to stop the bleeding, and then a bowling ball falls on his head. That is literally how the film opens. Tara is then talked to by a deacon. Not Deacon Batista, as hilarious as that would have been. Also would have been hard for Batista to pull that off at this point, but nevertheless, we hear about, her writing. It's really good, but she doesn't have a lot of her soul in it and everything. She's supposed to be impartial, but also supposed to, see the big picture or something. This scene, I think they thought they were being a lot smarter than they actually were. They said a lot without actually saying anything. So, Tara and Quinn don't get along. You could look at IMDb and see the actors' names. I have nothing against them, but none of the characters are distinguishable because they have such, basic premises and basic motivations. Yeah, Tara, Lauren Chanel is the lead, but I don't know. This didn't work for me. They end up going to New Orleans, using the fake IDs. They party, do drugs. There's one guy, Jordan, that does a whole lot of drugs. A whole lot of drugs, and a whole lot of drugs, So, yeah, they run into the Voodoo Queen. Oh, man, look at her, with the weird table carvings. The Voodoo Queen. Yeah, I'm not going to continue that song right there. But she knows when the cards know when there is a liar. Like Jacob the liar. Maybe I shouldn't have referenced that. So, let the gods do their will. You will get what you desire. But, of course, the caveat is if you get what you want, you die. We're 30 minutes in, by the way. The only death we've had is David, and this is like about 88 minutes. Kyle is a full-on dick. He's treating people like treating people like, they're beneath him. Jordan had confessed that he, wants to find love. He loves Quinn. Chloe, she's a character in this, technically. She wants to shave 5 seconds off of some swim thing that she did for like some kind of trial deal, and she did. And then she got her hair pulled out and scalped, and then she got killed with a pool net thing. That was fun. Quinn has no confidence. She's working in a hospital. She's doing everything for everybody else. She feels that she's not worthy of love, so she dates assholes. Jordan confesses in a broom closet, for minutes on end, while the patients could be looking for help, quite frankly. They could be almost choking to death on their own vomit or something, since it almost seems to be hospice-like. But they end up kind of getting together. All this happens really quickly, and I understand what the movie is trying to say, like, the more you want something, there's always going to be a backlash for it. You can't tempt fate, you can't change fate, but what you can change is making a movie like this a little bit more interesting. So Preston wanted to be popular. Again, like Not a Surf. So Sarah, a really popular girl, seemingly. We know this because he says that she's really popular. She wants to take him to prom, or have him take her to prom. No pig's blood being spilled. And then Kyle ends up turning evil after a guy named Derek, a dealer named Derek. Hey, Derek! That's a deep cut for podcast fans of another podcast. And he wants his drug money. Bitch better have my money, don't you worry. Say hey. Jordan ends up getting chased. Kyle turns evil to kill Derek, but then kill Jordan because Jordan took what he loved. Meaning the fact that he was an asshole and he didn't like losing his girlfriend. So that's it. And then there's a character named Maeve, played by Shazia Pascal, who I do have to say is quite attractive. She seems to know quite a bit, and she seems to be just always around and stuff like that. And eventually it is revealed the cards have been left at these particular deaths. The easily obtained death footage of Chloe and various others. Deacon says it's all about God's plan. Whatever. And then the old lady tells Quinn, hey, by the way, you're really good at what you do, and just as long as you're true to yourself, you'll be fine. And then she ends up trying to get something out of a vending machine. The vending machine thing spins around and carves off her hand, and then she bleeds to death. Seemingly no orderlies or anybody were around to maybe potentially stop the bleeding, but it's fine. 17 minutes left, and basically Preston and Tara are meeting up with this cop. Preston, by the way, pretty much from the beginning or right after the reading has been saying, it's the cards, it's the cards, it's the cards. And we got to stay away from our fate, stay away from what we desire, from what the cards will pick, and we'll be fine, I guess. But then Tara ends up stealing the cop's files. That's highly illegal, but whatever, we don't really get into that. Preston then is greeted by Sarah. Sarah wants to put the prom king thing on him. She shows up in a dress and prom queen stuff, and then hands him the crown, and then instantly a chandelier falls on him and kills him. Because they really were rushing this goddamn thing at this point. Maeve, by the way, her brother had a reading. He ended up dying. And, oh yes, the reader ended up marking Tara's arm because Tara suffered loss like the reader did, I guess. Whatever. By the way, we have like 8 minutes left. With the credits. 8 minutes. And this was just revealed. She then races back to New Orleans in a montage. She must stop this with more blood. she ends up getting in a fight with this reader who stabs her in the hand when she gets her hand back up there. And like, oh, that's going to be the blood. She's tied to the board. No. She ends up, has never basically visited her father's grave. She's never done this. She's had all this grief carried on her, or on her shoulders. She ends up taking this chain, seemingly because I guess the reader was either chained there or somebody was going to be chained there, or there was an old ball and chain, an Iron Maiden thing. She ends up choking her out with the chain and killing her, breaking the chain of events, I guess, and then visits her dad's grave because she got the death card. She tells him about this stuff, and then we cut the credits and just seriously, fucking seriously. I mean, my God, that's a short film concept stretched to 80-something fucking minutes. And it's really bad. I'm sorry. This is really bad. If there's a better movie in here, I'd love to fucking see it because what I saw was purely dog shit. So yeah, F. It gets an F. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland, and I'll see you soon.